Unit 1 Wonderful Waste Part 2. Good morning, children. How are you all? I'm sure you're keeping fine. Do you see the picture here? Do you know that this is a craft item made from an old plastic bottle? Well, the name of our lesson, Wonderful Waste, reminds us of the value of reusing old materials to make something new. Listen to this lesson being read. Later, you can read along with me. Once, the Maharaja of Travancore ordered a grand dinner in his palace. In the afternoon, before the dinner, the Maharaja entered the kitchen to survey the dishes that had been prepared for the feast. "What are you going to do with those vegetable scraps?" he asked the cook, pointing to the basket of scraps near the cook. The cook replied, "They are waste. We will throw them away." "You cannot waste all these bits and pieces of vegetables. Find a way to use them," the Maharaja commanded sternly and walked away. The cook was in a fix and he kept staring at the vegetable scraps for some time. Suddenly, an idea flashed across his mind. He took all the vegetable bits, washed them and cleaned them well. Then he cut them into long strips. He put them in a huge pot and placed it on the fire to cook. Next, he ground some fresh coconut, green chilies and garlic together. He added this paste and some salt to the cooking vegetables. A tempting smell started coming from the pot. Now he whipped some curd and added it to the curry. He also poured a few spoonfuls of coconut oil and decorated the dish with curry leaves. Lo and behold, the new dish was ready. The cook served this new dish to the guests that evening. Everyone was eager to know the name of the new dish. The cook thought and thought. Then a name came to his mind. He named it Aviyal. Aviyal became famous all over Kerala and is now one of the dishes in a traditional Kerala feast. And imagine, it all came from a basket of waste. Now children, you can see a palace in this picture. This is a palace of Travancore. As I told you in the last lesson, before 1949, India had many kingdoms, and this kingdom of Travancore was in South India. It was then known as Tiruvidampur. It had famous kings. You can see how wonderful this palace looks. It is so big and built very artistically too. So the Maharaja of Travancore ordered a grand dinner in his palace. So he was a famous king. He would call or invite important people to his palace once in a way, and he would give them a grand dinner. What is a grand dinner? Look at this. This is a picture of a grand dinner. There's lots and lots of food, delicious food. Grand dinner is a large, delicious meal served at a party or celebrations. All of us have experience of going to parties or hosting a party, etc. So you have seen how wonderful it is to go for a grand dinner or a grand party. In the afternoon, before the dinner, the Maharaja entered the kitchen to survey the dishes that had been prepared for the feast. So here is a kitchen, a wonderful big kitchen with lots of vessels and so on. And you can see a cook in this picture. So the Maharaja went into the kitchen. What did he go there for? He went to survey the dishes. What is the meaning of survey? To survey means to look closely or to examine. So here the Maharaja went into the kitchen to check whether all the dishes for the feast were ready. Was it enough? Was it good? To check all these, the Maharaja went into the kitchen. So survey means to look closely at or to examine. What are you going to do with those vegetable scraps? He asked the cook, pointing to the basket of scraps near the cook. Look at this picture, dear children. These are known as vegetable scraps. So for the feast, the cook had to prepare a lot of vegetables and curries and many dishes. And while he was preparing these dishes, he used a lot of vegetables. And while cleaning them, he had to cut off certain parts. He took only what was the best. And a lot of pieces came as leftover. And they were all collected together in one corner of the kitchen. So the king asked about these vegetable scraps. What are you going to do with them? He asked. Vegetable scraps. Small pieces of leftover vegetables. Here you can see the Maharaja and the cook. And you can see a collection of vegetable scraps. What does the cook say? They are waste. We will throw them away. And the king said, you cannot waste all these bits and pieces of vegetables. Find a way to use them. The Maharaja commanded sternly and walked away. What does it mean to command? To command means to order someone to do something. In earlier days, the kings were very, very powerful, and the kings could order anyone to do anything, and they were supposed to obey the king. If they wouldn't obey the king, they would be punished. So the king had the authority to command or to order others to do certain things. The Maharaja commanded sternly and walked away. What do you mean by the word sternly? Sternly means very strictly. Yes, he meant it. If he wouldn't do it, the cook would be punished. Command means to order someone to do something. Sternly means in a serious and severe manner. The cook was in a fix and kept staring at the vegetable scraps for some time. Suddenly, an idea flashed across his mind. The cook was in a fix. What is the meaning of the phrase in a fix? In a fix means to be in a very difficult situation from where you cannot escape yourself from. Okay? So the cook was in a fix. He could not escape. The king had ordered him to prepare a new dish or to make use of the vegetable scraps. So he kept staring at the vegetable scraps for some time. He kept on looking at the vegetable scraps, thinking what to do. Stare means to look fixedly at something. Here the cook looked at the vegetable scraps for a long time and thought, oh God, now what to do with these? Suddenly, an idea flashed across his mind. At that time, he got a new idea as to what to do with these vegetable scraps. Here, in a fix means in a difficult situation. Repeat after me. In a fix. In a difficult situation. stare, to look fixedly, flash across the mind, suddenly think of. Now let's see some keywords from these paragraphs. Grand dinner. Read along with me. Grand dinner. Palace. Survey. Vegetable scraps. Command. Sternly. Now here are two idioms from these passages. They are in a fix, flash across the mind. Notice these two idioms. In a fix. This is a group of words. Now in this group of words, these words are arranged in a fixed manner, in an orderly manner. So when you use these words together in a fix, it means to be in a very difficult situation. So idiom means a phrase that means different from its actual meaning. When you look at the words in, a, fix, you cannot anywhere see the meaning difficult situation. But the meaning of this particular group of word is to be in a very difficult situation, to be in a very embarrassing situation, etc. So such kind of group of words are known as idioms. Here is yet another idiom. Flash across the mind. Flash across the mind means suddenly think of. Suddenly think of. So when you look at these words, you will never think it has a meaning like this. The meaning is totally different from the meanings of the words that are in the group. Such words are known as idioms. So let's learn these two idioms. In a fix, flash across the mind. Now let's learn to use the keywords and the idioms in sentences. Grand dinner. How to use this word in a sentence? Let's see. The Maharaja ordered a grand dinner in his palace. Survey. A survey was conducted to know the number of school-going children in the village. Vegetable scraps. The cook used the vegetable scraps and prepared a new dish. Commanded. The officer commanded his troops to attack the enemy. Sternly. Mother looked sternly at me when I broke a plate. In a fix. Manu was in a fix when he missed the train. Flashed across the mind. While doing a science project, an idea flashed across my mind. Now here are some questions from the paragraphs that we have learned. Try to answer these questions. What were the preparations in the palace for? The preparations were for a grand feast in the palace. Why did the Maharaja go into the kitchen in the afternoon? The Maharaja went into the kitchen to survey the dishes that had been prepared for the feast. What had the cook planned to do with the vegetable scraps? The cook had planned to throw away the vegetable scraps. That's all for today's lesson, dear children. Please do read the first 3 paragraphs of this lesson over and over again. Learn the new words. Write them down in your notebook 5 times. Learn what idioms are. Learn to use these new words in sentences. Learn the answers of these questions. Thank you.